First Contact and the Ultimatum. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning, interrupting broadcasts across the globe with a clarity that made Earth's most advanced communications seem primitive by comparison. Dr. Sarah Chen was reviewing signal data at the SETI Institute when her instruments suddenly spiked, their readings exceeding anything she'd seen in 15 years of searching the stars. "This is the Federated Alliance of Systems," the transmission began, its perfect English sending chills down Sarah's spine. "Your world has been monitored since your first radio signals reached our listening posts. The time has come for Earth to make a choice. Join our Federation as a protectorate, or face immediate neutralization." The Alliance's massive ships emerged from hyperspace moments later, their curved hulls gleaming like liquid metal in the sunlight. Each vessel dwarfed Earth's largest aircraft carriers, and their sudden appearance over major cities brought the world to a standstill. Traffic stopped. Phones raised skyward. Millions watched in terrified awe as humanity's first contact unfolded not with a handshake, but with a threat. Sarah's fingers flew across her keyboard, analyzing the transmission's characteristics while military jets scrambled uselessly in response. The message repeated every 30 minutes, each time in a different Earth language. But it was what lay beneath the words that caught her attention. Buried in the carrier wave was a complex data stream, something that shouldn't have been there. While governments worldwide descended into chaos, Sarah isolated herself in her lab, poring over the hidden data. She'd spent her career searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, but nothing had prepared her for this. The signal contained more than just a message. It held fragments of the Alliance's communication protocols, pieces of their language, glimpses of their technology. Whether their arrogance or overconfidence had led them to be so careless, she couldn't tell. Across the planet, humanity's response to the ultimatum varied wildly. Some nations immediately declared their willingness to submit, while others called for immediate military action. In orbit, the Alliance ships maintained their positions, silent sentinels waiting for Earth's answer. Major David Okafor of the Nigerian Space Force was among the first to recognize the true nature of their situation. As his superiors debated futile military options, David was studying the alien ship formations. Their positioning wasn't random. It revealed defensive gaps, blind spots that suggested the Alliance wasn't as omnipotent as they wanted Earth to believe. "They're bluffing," he declared during an emergency United Nations session, his voice steady despite the weight of his words. "Look at their deployment pattern. If they could really destroy us at will, why position their ships to defend against counterattack?" The observation sparked the first glimmer of hope. Earth's military leaders began to see what David saw: patterns, weaknesses, opportunities. The Alliance's ultimatum had been carefully worded: join or face neutralization. Not destruction, neutralization. The choice of words seemed deliberate, suggesting limitations the aliens didn't want to reveal. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen's analysis of the hidden data yielded crucial insights. The Alliance wasn't a unified force, but a coalition of different species, each contributing specific technologies to their federation. Their ships' seemingly impenetrable defenses rely on a complex network of interconnected systems. More importantly, she discovered their communication protocols were vulnerable to a type of quantum interference that Earth's scientists had only recently begun to explore. As the 48-hour deadline approached, Earth's response took shape. It wasn't the immediate surrender the Alliance expected, nor the futile military resistance they could easily crush. Instead, humanity began preparing for a different kind of conflict, one that would play to their greatest strengths: adaptability, ingenuity, and the absolute refusal to submit to tyranny. Dr. Chen and Major Okafor found themselves at the center of a hastily assembled task force, combining military strategy with scientific insight. They worked around the clock, developing countermeasures that could exploit the Alliance's overlooked vulnerabilities. The aliens' technology might be centuries ahead, but their tactics revealed a rigid, overconfident mindset that could be turned against them. As the deadline neared its end, Earth's response was broadcast on the same frequencies the Alliance had used. It was short, defiant, and uniquely human. We choose neither option. We choose to fight. The Alliance's reaction was immediate. Their ship's energy signatures spiked, weapon systems charging. But Earth was ready. The first phase of humanity's resistance was already in motion, targeting the very weaknesses their would-be conquerors had unknowingly revealed. The war for Earth's independence was about to begin, and humanity's greatest test would prove that advanced technology alone doesn't guarantee victory. Sometimes the strongest weapons are the ones that can't be measured: courage, creativity, and the indomitable human spirit. The hidden strength. The Alliance's first attack came 3 hours after Earth's defiant response. Their energy weapons carved glowing paths through the atmosphere, targeting military installations across the globe. But where they expected to find panic and disarray, they encountered something else entirely: preparation. In the days leading up to the deadline, Dr. Sarah Chen's discovery of the quantum vulnerability in Alliance communications had sparked a technological revolution. Earth's quantum computing researchers, working in hidden bunkers, had reprogrammed their experimental systems to exploit this weakness. As the alien ships opened fire, their targeting systems suddenly began to fail, their precise shots going wild. Major David Okafor's strategic insight proved equally valuable. The Nigerian Space Force, collaborating with other nations' military forces, had positioned their limited space assets to take advantage of the blind spots in the Alliance's formation. Small, stealthy satellites now served as the eyes and ears of Earth's resistance, tracking Alliance ship movements and intercepting their communications. The Alliance's response to these unexpected setbacks revealed another crucial weakness: their rigid command structure. Unable to adapt quickly to the situation, their ships maintained their original attack patterns, even as Earth's countermeasures rendered them increasingly ineffective. Their technological superiority had bred a dangerous complacency. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly in a converted mining facility deep beneath the Australian outback, leading a team of international scientists in developing what they called the Bebel Protocol. By analyzing the hidden data streams in Alliance communications, they began to understand not just the aliens' technology, but their psychology. The Federation wasn't just a military alliance. It was a hierarchy of species, each contributing specific technologies, but also bound by strict roles and limitations. They're not united, she explained during a secure briefing with military leaders. Each species provides certain components of their technology, but they're forbidden from fully understanding each other's contributions. It's how they maintain control within their own ranks. This revelation changed everything. Earth didn't need to match the Alliance's technology. They just needed to disrupt the careful balance that kept it functioning. Major Okafor immediately saw the military implications. We don't have to beat their best weapons, he argued. We just have to break their ability to use them together. The resistance movement grew rapidly, adapting to this new understanding. Underground facilities around the world began manufacturing quantum interference devices based on Dr. Chen's research. These weren't weapons in the traditional sense, but they could temporarily sever the links between Alliance ships, turning their coordinated fleets into collections of isolated vessels. The first major test of this strategy came when the Alliance attempted to establish a ground base in the Sahara Desert. Their ships descended in perfect formation, energy shields shimming in the hot air. But as they approached their designated landing zone, Earth's hidden quantum transmitters activated. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Alliance ships suddenly lost their ability to communicate with each other. Their carefully choreographed landing sequence fell into disarray. Several vessels collided, their shields interfering with each other instead of working in harmony. The aliens had never encountered an enemy willing to attack the fundamental principles of their technology, rather than the technology itself. Major Okafor coordinated the counterattack from a mobile command center, using Earth's conventional forces in unconventional ways. Fighter jets launched not missiles but electronic warfare pods that further disrupted Alliance systems. Ground forces waited until the alien ships were committed to their landing approach before revealing hidden anti-gravity platforms, reverse-engineered from scattered pieces of Alliance technology found after their initial arrival. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, 3 Alliance ships lay partially buried in the desert sand, their crews evacuating into the harsh environment they had hoped to claim. More importantly, the engagement proved that humanity's strategy could work. The Alliance's technological advantage could be neutralized by attacking the complex web of interactions that made it function. Dr. Chen's team made another breakthrough during the battle, managing to intercept and decode some of the Alliance's internal communications. The aliens were shocked by their defeat, but what truly disturbed them was how it had been accomplished. Humanity hadn't just resisted. They had understood and exploited fundamental aspects of Alliance technology that should have been incomprehensible to such a primitive species. The victory in the Sahara changed the nature of the conflict. The Alliance could no longer simply overwhelm Earth with superior firepower. They would have to adapt, to think differently, something their rigid hierarchy made extremely difficult. Meanwhile, humanity's greatest strengths were coming to the fore: creativity, adaptability, and the ability to innovate under pressure. Underground research facilities became centers of technological revolution. Scientists from different fields collaborated in ways they never had before, combining insights from quantum physics, biology, psychology, and military strategy. The Alliance had expected to find a primitive world easy to subjugate. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that learned and evolved with remarkable speed. As news of the Sahara victory spread, Earth's resistance grew stronger. People everywhere began to realize that humanity's apparent weakness, their technological inferiority, had forced them to think in ways the Alliance couldn't predict or counter. The aliens' confidence in their superior technology had become a vulnerability, one that humanity was learning to exploit with increasing effectiveness. The war was far from over, but for the first time since the Alliance's arrival, hope began to spread across the planet. Humanity had found its hidden strength, not in matching the aliens' technology, but in finding new ways to think about the nature of the conflict itself. The coming battles would test this approach to its limits, but Earth's defenders now knew that victory was possible. The question was no longer if they could resist, but how far their innovations would take them in the fight for freedom. Breaking point. The Alliance's response to their defeat in the Sahara was swift and brutal. Hundreds of new ships emerged from hyperspace, their designs different from anything seen before. The aliens had called in their elite forces, vessels operated by the Nexus, the most technologically advanced species within the Federation. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from her underground facility as the new fleet took position. These ships moved differently, their formations more fluid and unpredictable. The quantum interference techniques that had proved so effective before seemed to have less impact. The Nexus had adapted their systems, learning from their earlier failures. They're using isolated command networks, she explained to Major Okafor during an emergency briefing. Each ship operates independently, making our disruption strategy less effective. The Major studied the tactical displays, noting how the new vessels maintained perfect coordination despite the quantum interference. Earth's advantage was slipping away. The Nexus fleet struck simultaneously at multiple targets across the globe. Their weapons were devastating. Not the simple energy beams of before, but complex arrays that could bend space itself, creating localized gravitational anomalies that crushed everything in their path. Earth's defensive positions, carefully prepared over the previous weeks, began to fall. But in the midst of the onslaught, something unexpected happened. A junior analyst in Dr. Chen's team, monitoring Alliance communications, detected an unusual pattern in the Nexus ship's transmissions. Buried deep within their command protocols was evidence of internal conflict. The Nexus, it seemed, were not the willing servants of the Alliance they appeared to be. As Earth's forces retreated under the overwhelming assault, Dr. Chen and her team worked frantically to decode these hidden messages. They revealed a startling truth. The Nexus were essentially enslaved by the Alliance, their advanced technology controlled through sophisticated restraints built into their ship systems. Their apparent superiority masked a deeper vulnerability. Major Okafor immediately saw the strategic implications. If we can break their control systems, he proposed, we might turn their most powerful weapons against them. But the challenge was immense. The Nexus ship's systems were far more sophisticated than anything they'd encountered before. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. During a particularly fierce battle over the Indian Ocean, a damaged Nexus ship crashed relatively intact into the waters near the Andaman Islands. A team of special forces, led personally by Major Okafor, managed to reach the wreck before the Alliance could destroy it. Inside, they found something remarkable. The ship's crew, members of the Nexus species, were still alive. Unlike the aggressive Alliance commanders they'd encountered before, these beings showed no hostility. Instead, they offered to help, revealing that many within their species had long waited for an opportunity to break free from Alliance control. The Nexus survivors provided crucial information about the control systems built into their ships. These restraints were sophisticated but not perfect. They had been designed to prevent rebellion, not to withstand outside interference. With this knowledge, Dr. Chen's team began developing a new kind of quantum virus, one that could infiltrate and disable these control mechanisms. As the Alliance pushed deeper into Earth's territory, humanity's resistance became more desperate, but also more innovative. Underground factories worked around the clock, producing modified versions of the quantum interference devices. Special forces teams, equipped with this new technology, began targeting Nexus ships specifically, not to destroy them, but to free them. The turning point came during a massive Alliance assault on North America. As their ships descended through the atmosphere, Earth's forces launched their counterattack. The new quantum virus spread through the Nexus fleet's network, disabling the control systems one ship at a time. The effect was dramatic. Freed from Alliance control, many Nexus crews immediately turned their weapons on their former masters. The battle became chaotic as Alliance formations broke apart, their most powerful ships suddenly fighting alongside Earth's defenders. The remaining Alliance commanders, faced with this unprecedented betrayal, were forced to retreat, their carefully planned assault collapsing into disorder. But victory came at a heavy cost. Many of Earth's major cities lay in ruins, their defenses overwhelmed by the initial Nexus assault. Millions had been displaced, and the planet's infrastructure had been severely damaged. Yet amid the destruction, a new hope emerged. The Alliance's greatest weapon had become their greatest vulnerability, and humanity had gained powerful allies in their fight for freedom. In the aftermath of the battle, Dr. Chen worked closely with the liberated Nexus crews, learning more about Alliance technology and society. The Nexus shared their advanced scientific knowledge freely, helping Earth's scientists understand principles that would have taken decades to discover on their own. Major Okafor, meanwhile, began incorporating Nexus ships into Earth's defensive strategy. The freed vessels, with their superior technology, now serving humanity's cause, provided a much-needed boost to Earth's military capabilities. More importantly, their crews brought invaluable insight into Alliance tactics and weaknesses. The war had reached a crucial turning point. The Alliance's aura of invincibility had been shattered, not just by human ingenuity, but by their own internal contradictions. As news of the Nexus rebellion spread through Alliance ranks, other subjugated species began to question their loyalty to the Federation. What had begun as Earth's fight for survival was evolving into something larger, a revolution that could reshape the power structure of the entire galaxy. Revolution from within. News of the Nexus rebellion spread through the Alliance like wildfire. Dr. Sarah Chen, working alongside her new Nexus allies, discovered that the Federation's supposedly secure communication networks were buzzing with encrypted messages between subjugated species. The cracks in the Alliance's foundation were spreading, threatening to shatter their carefully maintained hierarchy. The Nexus engineers revealed a crucial truth about Alliance technology. The Federation's leadership had deliberately fragmented their technological knowledge, ensuring that no single species possessed enough understanding to challenge their authority. But humanity's approach to science and innovation was different. Earth scientists shared information freely, combining insights from multiple fields to solve problems. Major Okafor recognized this as more than just a cultural difference. It was a strategic advantage. They've built their entire empire on controlled knowledge, he explained during a global security briefing. But they've never faced an enemy that learns and adapts as quickly as we do. The Alliance's response to the growing rebellion was predictable. They attempted to tighten their control, implementing stricter protocols and increasing surveillance of their subject species. But these measures only fueled the resistance. Underground networks formed throughout Alliance territory, with different species sharing forbidden knowledge and technological secrets. Earth became the focal point of this revolutionary movement. The planet's defenders had proven that the Alliance wasn't invincible, and their methods of resistance offered hope to others who had long suffered under Federation control. Dr. Chen's quantum virus, designed to free Nexus ships, was modified to work on other Alliance systems, spreading through their networks like a digital liberation force. A turning point came when a group of archivists, the Alliance species responsible for maintaining their technical databases, made contact with Earth's resistance. They had been secretly preserving knowledge that the Federation's leadership had attempted to destroy, maintaining records of technological achievements that had been deliberately forgotten to maintain control. The archivists shared their hidden knowledge with Earth scientists, revealing the true history of the Alliance's rise to power. The Federation hadn't achieved its dominance through natural technological progress, but by systematically suppressing and controlling the development of other species. Their greatest fear was not military defeat, but the emergence of truly independent civilizations that could challenge their technological monopoly. Armed with this knowledge, Dr. Chen and her team began work on a revolutionary project. Instead of trying to match Alliance technology directly, they focused on creating systems that could adapt and evolve on their own. They combined Earth's artificial intelligence research with Nexus quantum computing and archivist data storage methods, creating a new kind of defense network that could learn from every engagement. Major Okafor integrated these adaptive systems into Earth's military strategy. The planet's defensive grid became a living thing, constantly evolving and finding new ways to counter Alliance attacks. When Federation ships would develop a new weapon or tactic, Earth's defenses would analyze, adapt, and develop countermeasures within hours instead of days or weeks. The Alliance leadership, faced with this unprecedented threat to their power, launched a massive offensive aimed at crushing the rebellion once and for all. Their remaining loyal fleets converged on Earth, believing that if they could destroy this symbol of resistance, other rebellious species would lose hope and fall back in line. But the attack proved to be their greatest mistake. Earth's adaptive defenses, combined with the knowledge shared by rebel Alliance species, turned the battle into a devastating defeat for the Federation. Their ships, operating on rigid protocols and centralized control, couldn't match the fluid, evolving tactics of the combined Earth-Nexus archivist forces. More importantly, the battle was broadcast throughout Alliance space using their own communication networks, hijacked by resistance hackers. Species that had been subjugated for generations watched as the supposedly invincible Federation fleet was outmaneuvered and defeated by a coalition of free peoples fighting together. The revolution spread rapidly after that. Alliance control systems across their territory began to fail as subject species implemented versions of Earth's quantum virus. Federation ships found themselves facing rebellion, not just from without but from within, as their own crews rose up against their commanders. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly during this period, coordinating with resistance groups throughout Alliance space to share technical knowledge and defensive strategies. The Federation's carefully maintained technological barriers were breaking down, replaced by a new model of open collaboration and shared innovation. Major Okafor, meanwhile, helped organize a unified defensive network linking Earth with other rebellious worlds. This unprecedented cooperation between different species created something the Alliance had never anticipated: a military force that combined diverse technologies and tactical approaches in ways their rigid hierarchy couldn't counter. As the Alliance's control continued to crumble, a new galactic order began to take shape. The principles that had helped Earth resist, open sharing of knowledge, adaptive learning, and cooperation between different peoples, became the foundation for a different kind of interstellar civilization. The revolution that had begun as humanity's desperate fight for survival was transforming into something far more significant: the birth of a free galactic community. A new dawn. The final battle for the galaxy's future began not with weapons, but with a message. From Earth's quantum communication network, Dr. Sarah Chen broadcast a declaration that reached every corner of Alliance space. To all species who dream of freedom, the time has come. We stand together, or we fall alone. The response exceeded all expectations. Alliance control centers across the galaxy erupted in rebellion as subjugated species seized their chance for liberation. The Federation's leadership, barricaded in their central command complex on their homeworld of Nexer Prime, watched in horror as their empire crumbled from within. Major David Okafor led the combined fleet of Earth, Nexus, and other liberated species in a bold push toward the Alliance capital. Their ships moved in formations that would have been impossible months earlier. Human intuition combined with Nexus technology, archivist wisdom, and countless other contributions from freed species, creating something entirely new. The Alliance's last defensive line at Nexer Prime was formidable. They had concentrated their remaining loyal forces around their homeworld, creating a barrier of advanced weaponry and overlapping shield systems. But they had not anticipated the full scope of what they faced. Dr. Chen's final innovation proved decisive. Working with scientists from 24 species, she had developed what they call the Unity Protocol, a system that could seamlessly integrate the different technologies and tactical approaches of all allied species. The result was something the rigid hierarchy of the Alliance could never match: true technological synchronicity born of cooperation rather than control. The battle for Nexer Prime lasted 3 days. The Alliance's defenses, designed to counter conventional attacks, proved inadequate against an enemy that could adapt and evolve mid-combat. Every tactic they employed was analyzed, countered, and turned against them by the Unity Protocol's distributed intelligence. When the Alliance leadership finally surrendered, they found themselves facing not just military defeat, but the complete collapse of their worldview. The species they had dismissed as primitive or subjugated had created something they never could: a civilization based on mutual respect and shared progress rather than domination and control. In the aftermath, representatives from all involved species gathered on Earth to determine the galaxy's future. The choice of location was symbolic. The planet that had first shown that resistance was possible would now host the birth of a new interstellar community. Dr. Chen presented a proposal that would transform the galaxy's approach to technological development. Instead of the Alliance's system of fragmented knowledge and controlled innovation, she advocated for an open network of scientific collaboration. Every species would contribute their unique insights and capabilities, creating a sum greater than its parts. Major Okafor, drawing on his experiences coordinating the combined fleet, helped design a new approach to galactic security. The defensive capabilities that had protected Earth would be expanded and shared, ensuring that no single power could ever again threaten the freedom of other species. The former Alliance worlds, free from the Federation's restrictive controls, experienced an unprecedented flowering of culture and innovation. Technologies that had been suppressed for generations emerged and evolved, combining with new discoveries in ways that benefited all. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained the Alliance's power was replaced by a network of cooperation and mutual support. Earth, once considered a primitive backwater by the Alliance, became a symbol of what was possible when different peoples worked together freely. The human approach to problem solving: creative, adaptable, and collaborative, proved to be exactly what the galaxy needed to heal from centuries of oppression. The Nexus, freed from their technological chains, became eager partners in this new order. Their advanced capabilities, no longer constrained by Alliance control systems, helped accelerate the development of technologies that could benefit all species. The Archivists, too, emerged from hiding, sharing their preserved knowledge to ensure that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. As the new galactic community took shape, it became clear that humanity's greatest contribution hadn't been military strategy or technological innovation. It had been showing that resistance to tyranny was possible, that cooperation was stronger than control, and that true progress could only come through freedom. Dr. Chen and Major Okafor, standing on an observation deck overlooking the new Galactic Council chamber in what had once been their underground resistance base, reflected on how far they had come. Below them, representatives from hundreds of species worked together, sharing ideas and building a future that none of them could have imagined when the Alliance first appeared in Earth's skies. "We never just fought for Earth," Dr. Chen remarked, watching the diverse gathering. "We fought for an idea, that every species deserves the chance to determine its own destiny." Major Okafor nodded, remembering the desperate battles that had led to this moment. "And in doing so, we found something greater than victory. We found a new way forward." The galaxy was entering a new era. The Alliance's fall had shown that no empire built on oppression could last forever, and that the strongest civilizations were those that embraced diversity and cooperation. Humanity, in defending their own freedom, had helped create something unprecedented. A community of equals, bound together not by force but by choice, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might present. As ships from a dozen worlds streaked across Earth's sky, their contrails painting the evening in colors no human had seen before the war, the truth became clear. The Alliance's attempt to subjugate humanity had instead sparked a revolution that had freed the galaxy. The dawn of this new age promised not just peace, but the kind of progress that could only come when all peoples were free to reach for the stars together.